You've been fighting for your prodigal. You've been fighting for your husband, your wife, your marriage, your relationship. And it's been hell. It's not easy. People reach out and they're saying, Pastor, it's been 10 years and I'm still fighting. I'm not seeing a difference. Now, you need to be very careful. Is this your will or is it God's will? You fighting for your marriage. Yes, God doesn't want us to get divorced. We know that. But God will never force somebody to do something that they do not want to do. Remember, He knows the plans He has for you and your prodigal. If God really wants you to fight for your marriage, for your relationship, your husband, your wife, He will give you confirmation. There's some of you who's wasting your lives because you are holding on to something that was not ordained by God. You know, when people reach out to me, the first thing I say to them is, did God say you're supposed to fight? Yes, any good husband or wife should. But is it what God wants you to do? Did He say, fight for your husband, fight for your wife, fight for your marriage? If not, guys, what are you doing? You're causing yourself a whole lot of trauma and hurt. In some marriages, we just have to accept the fact that it wasn't meant to be. It wasn't from God, and that it will not be restored. If God wants you to fight for that prodigal, for that marriage, He will tell you, He will give you prophetic word. He will put that desire in your heart, not an obsession. There's a difference between a desire to do God's will and an obsession. It's time to go and, do a bit of self-examination. Lord, is this you or is this me? Because maybe God has somebody else for you, but now you refuse to let go, so God cannot bless you with somebody else because you are still stuck on that other person. Yes, some of us have word from God, prophetic word from God, where He said, don't give up on your husband, don't give up on your wife, keep fighting. And even in times when it looks bad and I'm like, Lord, why am I going through this? I just want to move on, find somebody else and live happily ever after. And then the Lord is like, no, Brenda, you are fighting for your husband. You are fighting for your prodigal. You will continue fighting. But for some of you, that is not what the Lord intended. It is a difficult battle to fight for your prodigal. It's the most difficult thing you will ever do in your life. And you can only do it if you have God on your side. A lot of you are fighting this battle where you should not be in. It's time to examine what the Lord has said. I see it so many times, but Pastor, it's just not working. Why did the marriage end? Why did the relationship end? I always just hear the one side of the story. But there's always three sides to the story. Your side, their side, and God's side. Were you that innocent? Did you do a little, too little in your marriage, in your relationship? And now you're reaping the consequences? Maybe you didn't treat her right and she moved on. It's not right, but she moved on. I don't know what's happening in your life, in your situation. I can only speak of my own. And I know what the Lord has said to me. And that keeps me going. You need to get to the point where you say, the Lord said, because that's what I can say. I've written it down, what the Lord has said to me. It's been confirmed by so many people. it just changes something within you. I believe the Lord will remove the love for that person if you're not supposed to fight for them. But to fight for them, to pray for them constantly, you become closer and closer. If you are bitter, if you are self-absorbed, you can't fight. It's all about unconditional love. So just check, just make sure, say, Lord, give me confirmations. Be specific. Say, Lord, if you want me to fight for this marriage, let this and this happen. Or say, Lord, give me 3 confirmations. Because that's normally what the Lord does. He gives confirmation of his word. Don't just go off on your own and say, yeah, this is what the Lord wants. You're causing yourself a whole bunch of heartache and pain unnecessary. You could have moved on, and maybe the person that God has ordained for you cannot move into your life because you are still stuck in fighting for somebody who God never ordained you to be with in the first place. So take the time, pray, seek God's wisdom and counsel before jumping on the bandwagon and saying, I'm fighting for my prodigal. I think actually we should rename it, because there's just so many people who's jumped on this, and it's not for everyone. Not everyone in your life is meant to be there. Ask God who is supposed to be there and who not. If he wants you to fight, he will give you confirmation. I'm praying for you. Don't give up. Don't give in, because our God is always working. Shalom.